Welcome in to the Energy Tech Podcast presented by OpSite Energy. Today, Mike's joined by Jap Johal from QCA. Guys, we're live at ICC 2025. Welcome in.
Oh, man. Jeff, it is good to be here, of course, in the heart of Sacramento at ICC 2025. And the Energy Tech Podcast is here. And we have some great guests that we keep bringing on. And one of them is our guest, Jap Johal with QCA. Glad to have you, Jap. Glad to join us, man. Glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, man. I really want to tell you, man. Is this your first time at ICC?
Yes, sir. It is first time at ICC.
Man, so let me ask you this: your first time at ICC. What is your take right now about what you've experienced yesterday? Maybe even the first day, day one, day two. Here we are. What has been your take so far? What have you taken away from ICC 2025?
Something that I've noticed, especially picking up on today, is the integration that inductive automation has with partners.
Yeah.
They really do a good job of working well with not only integrators, but companies that want to work with Ignition to enhance their product.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot where software gets better by third-party vendors making a product better, but Ignition, like inductive automation, they welcome that.
Yeah.
And there's so many options. You can, talk to anybody out here, any of the vendors, and they're just like, we do this, we do that. You can just make your product so much better by doing that, because you can't, as inductive, focus on everything everybody needs, but someone might do something that's niche and be able to give that to the community.
50 dB.
Right. Let me ask you this, here, you've got what we're calling the level up theme, right? So inductive automation is leveled up. Number one, they came to a new location here in Sacramento. Number two, they've put out 8.3, which is really cool. Number three is they've had this, I don't know if you've had a chance to see or participate or look at the Prove It conference, some of the Prove It sessions that they've had, which comes from, the back in February, the Industry 4.0 team led by Walker Reynolds brought in this Prove It flavor where they want to prove the value of, some of the projects are doing, leveraging Ignition, of course. The fourth way is that here, Energy Tech Podcast, you're on here now. We got the take. We're getting people's take, whether you're an integrator, whether you're an end user, whether you're a product provider here, you're partnered with Ignition. What do you think when you leave and you go back to QCA? How do you think you feel like, man, Mike, I think we're going to level up our game by X? What do you think that might be?
Oh, it's the Prove It sessions.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so nice to go into, you go in there, you sit, and you just see what they're doing. The person asking the questions, they're asking tough questions.
Yeah.
Fair, tough questions, but you're seeing the actual product, not just a pitch. You know what I mean? And then you're on the podcast, you're talking to a lot of people. You have some really important people coming on here. You see all these different perspectives. You know what I mean? And you can share that with people.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
I think you're right. And I want to back up for a second. And if you can share with us, the community, the audience, what your role is there at QCA, because I think it's really cool, especially because you don't often hear this from your current role, and you've had to wear some hats. So I want you to talk about that for a little bit, kind of what you do there at QCA.
Yeah, so I'm a software architect. What I do for QCA is I work with clients. They have a vision, right? And then we're going to execute on that vision. So they tell me, Jap, we want this. It doesn't really matter how we get to X.
Right.
And then I go, we plan it. We make a plan. This is what we're going to do. These are the steps we're going to take. And then we present it to them. We get POs, we do proposals, the whole shebang. And then I help the team execute as well. So
wow.
we talk with the teams together. We meet daily. We go over progress. It's quite fun.
Yeah. So, it's funny, but, if you get this first take of, okay, hey, Jap, here's how we do it. We don't care. Obviously you care how you get there. Let me rephrase that. But really what you're saying is we need to get here. Where do you think Ignition fits in that when you say we have to get here and deliver X? Like, where do you think Ignition fits into that?
The great part about Ignition is that you can integrate it with any other solution. It's so flexible. And that's where I think it kind of blows away the competition, is that it's not like you must use this type of database connection. Oh, you have to have this. It's like, no, hey, if you want to do this, that's totally cool. Go ahead and do it, and it'll work well within the ecosystem. So,
Right.
you're pulling in stuff from the clients are sending information to here. You can get that information. You can get information from the PLCs. You can provide context on that information. That's really where I think it shines.
Right. So you're talking about it can act as both a first centerpiece or a middleware, right? So Ignition is a flexible IoT platform that lets you connect, collect, store, get that data, right?
Yes, sir.
Over in your line of business and what you're doing. And let me ask you, is QCA and your team, are you guys taking advantage of Ignition or are you guys looking into it?
Oh, we're using Ignition daily.
Yeah.
We have a team. There's probably just within our department alone, 7 people daily working with Ignition every single
Wow.
day. That's not within the within the company. It's probably like 60, 65 people that are
Right.
using Ignition daily, but just within the department, it's 7, 8 people.
Wow. So is there an industry you guys serve at QCA?
Yeah, we specialize in bulk handling,
Okay.
container terminals. That's where we really shine.
So container terminals, and then any rail or any large bulk facilities like that?
Yeah, so large export facilities, mostly on the water. I like to, the short way I say it is we unload rail cars
Right.
and we get that rail car product onto vessels.
Yes. Yeah. So you get that product. So really what you have is a big material handle between that product and getting onto ship, barge, right?
Yes,
Ship,
sir.
barge, rail. Who knows? Maybe truck might be something later that you do, but a lot of times you'll find that. In my experience, I've done large rail facility, ship and barge, ship and barge and products, right? And
Yes, sir.
I think in talking to you in the past, I think you've mentioned also you guys move whether it's a solid like grain or it could be liquids, it could be anything really,
Yes,
right?
it could be anything. Yeah, it's all about it's driving efficiency, right? There's only so much space in the world for ports. They're big. They have to be in certain areas. They need to be up. They need to be running, and they need to be running efficiently, right?
Yeah.
We're really moving into the autonomous space now. We're really seeing our clients. We're setting them up with just fully automatic machines. One
Right.
push, and they're just like, okay, that worked. And
Right. So it sounds like you guys are implementing lots of automation pieces here, right? In order to take advantage of Ignition's capability. Let me ask you this: is your team? It sounds to me like you are, but I want to hear it. You guys leveraging anything like MQTT in the field and taking that data? Is there anything you're doing special?
we're using MQTT to move around data for sure.
Right.
It's a great protocol, absolutely. Like one of my favorite protocols. Whenever I hear anybody talking about it, I'm like, hey, can I get in on that?
Yeah.
I'd love to use it. It's simple, flexible, and
Right.
powerful.
Yeah. And so, I think even in talking to you soon prior, you mentioned also that you have the sweet spot for data, right? And how do you think Ignition has helped, let's say, QCA, your customers, your clients, you, in terms of leveraging data on the data side, the data ops?
Yeah. So the way I see how it's helped clients is before you can use Ignition. Obviously, you can use Ignition for HMIs. That's its primary use, right? But
Sure.
we can take Ignition, use it to collect data, and then present it back to them using dashboards. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like what I always like to ask, like a manager, a shift supervisor. You were away last week. How did the teams do? Tell me, how do you find that out? That's what you should be asking yourself. How are the teams doing when I'm not here? How do you find that out? When you're there, you probably find it out through word of mouth, like, hey, morning it was rough today, the XYZ happened. But can you go back when you're not there and
Yeah.
find out what happened? And if you can't, that's a problem because you should be able to do that.
Wow. So let me just reiterate what you're saying here. What I'm hearing is that you're saying, hey, Mike, if my first critical question to any end user, any internal or external customer has always, what you're saying has always been, you know, can I get plant performance? Can I get that performance? And can that be visualized for me to understand what has happened both in the present and in real time going forward? Is that right? Is
Yes,
that,
sir. Yeah.
yeah. And I think, what do you think, aside from when you hear that and you ask the question, what is some of the challenges you think you're facing around that? Because there's some challenges,
Yeah.
right?
There's always challenges, but challenges are an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Just working with different clients. Everyone has different needs. No one's ever the same. their networks aren't the same. The data, the access to what we need isn't the same.
Right.
Maybe we have to take 6 months to talk to IT to get access to a piece of software. Then we got to
Right.
talk about the API and the endpoint and integrating that into the system.
Right.
It's just there's challenges, but every challenge is an opportunity.
Right. You know, one of the things we used to fight with was the UMLR data that comes in. You know, that's tough because it's very proprietary. You know, some sources you can collect them, and you know, because you really want to know when a rail car is arriving, where it's at, where is it at today,
Yeah.
where is it at now, so you can plan inventory or plan delivery or plan the export of your product on rail car.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So that's to me is always a challenge that I think Ignition can solve in terms of data collection and then aggregate it and then push that out to your different stakeholders,
Yeah.
right? If you had to look back right now or even look forward on projects you're working on, what are some of the things you see the future of Ignition helping you on directly? And what I mean by that, it could be anything. It could be, well, Mike, you know what? We want to connect this to the cloud. We're ingesting data. Maybe we want to stream this to our cloud provider and we want to give that over to customers, you know, things like that. And there's kind of in your mind, do you see any future activity of what you're doing, you know, with Ignition?
So what I see coming down the line
Mhm.
for customers, what I think is going to be great for them, is the ability to have a localized LLM agent
Right?
that they can interact with and ask questions and find stuff out about. Like I would love to ask, I would love to ask a bot, like, hey, this machine went down. What happened right before it went down? What are the causes of that machine going down? And then we can figure that out, right? Because if something's happening, you're probably getting 100 alarms, very hard to trace back. But if that agent is there, if that AI can do that work for you,
Yes.
that's how you improve efficiency.
You
That's how
know,
you have more uptime.
I'm glad to hear that because I think, you know, one of the things I recognize even now is that with Ignition, let's say Ignition is your platform, you've got PLC data you've collected in Ignition, then you leverage, let's say it's MCP right in the middle, okay? Between that, you've got model context protocol, and there's no need for a dashboard because why? I can understand that data with a simple query, just like I would if I was on a large language model and say, give me the number of cars, you know, that we've offloaded in the last quarter and how many trouble cars did we get with that, right?
Yeah.
And so you're saying that, I think you're speaking to the same thing that, hey, we may not need to do this because if the source of truth is the same in terms of the data,
Yeah.
right? Leveraging MQTT, then whatever we get back should be looking at that same source of truth.
Yep.
And there's no need to just display static dashboards anymore. Granted, they're going to move in real time, some of them, right, in the cloud. But what I'm hearing you say is, man, Mike, I want to be able to ask what I think I need that's curated for me,
Yep.
right?
And I think that's where integrators will be key into making sure the data's structured,
Yeah.
right? Having things like MQTT, your UNS is good. You're using UDTs, right? You can set the customer up for success,
Yeah.
and then they can use those tools. They
Yeah.
can find out whatever they need to find out because I don't know what they need. I have an idea of what they need, but I'm
Right.
not working there every single day, right?
Right. And I think you're right. You know, I want to bring this up because I think this is important for folks to know. In our lives, we'll work with, we love Amazon. We love the app. It's an Industry 4.0 company, regardless of whether you like Jeff Bezos or not. It's a great product. No one looks at spreadsheets to see where my order's at.
Nope.
We go, we look, you know, and they're pulling from inventory. They're making predictions on what you're going to buy. Right now, do you feel like we're at a point where we can start matching? I call it the digital expectation. And here's what I mean. When you go to industrial facilities, there's like this lower bar on digital expectation, right? Like we'll stick to the clipboard or the spreadsheet, or we'll even click to, let's say, an app where I got to re-enter a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I think we're at the point now where you can get rid of that and you can have the high digital expectation in a mobile application that it just has the look and feel and has that Amazon feel to it, right? I think
Mhm.
we're at that point, and I want to get your take on that. Because you're a young guy, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you have this digital expectation. What do you think that is, and do you believe you can bring that to your internal and external customer?
I think at like any facility that we're working at, I agree with you. They're usually they're a little bit behind
Sure.
in the technology, right? Their digital expectations are lower. That's
Right.
really true. I'm kind of seeing them like they're just gonna skip this part where we were like, the mid 2010s. They're gonna skip that and they're gonna end up at like 2025. That's what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. You know what I mean? There's gonna just be from paper to AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, oh, this was possible. Oh, okay. I think it's there's a couple things to get there. One is you have to be with whatever you do for them, you have
Yeah.
to build trust. You got to make sure whatever you deliver, it's fantastic and it's
Yes.
working and it works well and it delivers everything they need. Then you build up trust. Then you can start getting into that kind of stuff, right? It's a long term thing. It's not easy. Customer also, I would say shouldn't trust you right off the bat either, right? They're investing their time, their money, their budgets. They need to have good products, and then you can be like, hey, this is something that you guys should look into, and then it works. You all work together to deliver the same goal, right?
Man, I like that. You said right there, Mike, we're at the point where we can jump from paper on glass or just, tiny little spreadsheets, apps, paper, move right into querying a large language model, really.
Yeah.
Like just, we're at that point, and I agree with you. I think we're at that point. So we're almost out of time, so I want to ask this from you because I think it's important. What is your take now that we've established, hey, Mike, you're right. Hey, in terms of digital expectation, it's high. What kind of conversations are your customers or your colleagues or coworkers and internal customers having with AI, machine learning, MCP, and maybe how you think, well, I think Ignition will solve some issues for us?
Customers are asking us about it. They're
Yeah.
cautious, right? This is the thing, and I always say this, like the current model they're using,
Mhm.
like it or not, it works, right?
Right.
They're making money, right? They're not
Right.
in business. They're not, if you're running a business, you have to make money. They're making money. So if you want to change the way someone does something, you better come with the absolute best product.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Ignition is going to allow us to come with the absolute best product and gain their trust and say, hey, we can do this for you and let us do this.
No, I think you're right. Arlen Nipper spoke this morning, and he talked about that you can have all the great products, but if you're not delivering that data and have that OT structure, right? You're really not producing. Your data is not going to be good. You can't deliver the digital expectation that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And man, you said that really well. I want to ask you one final question. I asked you about, we're about to close out on the conference.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be your last takeaway, and how are you going to carry that over to QCA?
So my very my best takeaway is going to be that the Energy Tech podcast is awesome.
Oh, okay, man. All right. I give him another power bank. That's what we need to do, man. Give him a power bank.
But besides the Energy Tech podcast, number 2 will be the access to the community. That's what's been eye-opening here is the amount of stuff that someone is doing that you can work with and partner with to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
You're not there's a big community out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what I'm going to take away for sure.
Awesome. Jap, we appreciate you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I want to keep you, but man, we've got folks that really want to talk about their experience, and you said it well. They can talk about it right here on the Energy Tech podcast. They can like and subscribe because we're going to have tons of content for people to watch and look at and gain some knowledge from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am your co-host, Mike Flores, with Mr. Jap Johal right here.
Thank you, Mike.
At ICC 2025. Thank you, Jap, for being on the show.